If you ask me, I would always have this one little problem with reviews, and that is the fact that most of the time when a product is reviewed, well, the reviewer got it, played with it for several hours, and then wrote or shot their review. Same goes for some of the things I review. I'm quite fresh into them, and even though I try to find out as much as I possibly can, well, you're gonna form more informed opinions after using a product for an extended amount of time. That is why one thing I like to do is to actually revisit reviews after an extended amount of time, and I do mean several years, to sort of see if my insight on that particular device has changed. So with that in mind, what I'm gonna do today is we're actually going to take a second look at the LD09 E-Table. I've had this for over 2 years, coming on 3 years, and well, I thought I'd just update the first video that I made. There is going to be quite a lot more discussion in this video and a little bit less hands-on, but hopefully this should still give you some insight if you're considering buying this table. Well, we're gonna talk more about this after the break. Hello and welcome back to another Random Wednesday episode. Now, last time I reviewed this table, it was on the 29th of October 2012, so if you roughly did the math, that would be about 2 years and 8 months as of the day of filming this, which is at the end of June 2015. I've done a very rough calculation, and I estimate I've used the table for about 8,000 hours. It has been holding a heavy laptop for over 8,000 hours, so that has been a lot of stress testing. So hopefully what this means is I am better equipped at telling you how this table will fare in the long run, seeing as that I've used it for nearly 3 years. I can tell you right off the bat that over these couple of years of using this particular table, I've had a very good time. It's basically done its job very well, and its shortcomings barely showed. Of course, in order for this to be an objective review, I'm gonna have to talk about the shortcomings anyway, and in fact, let's jump right into them. Now, I'm quite the power user for my computer, so what that means is occasionally I play games, sometimes I do, 3D work or video work, and all of these are things that can make a computer very hot. My laptop has a fan located at the side near the back, where it actually blows out air as hot as 90 degrees Celsius, so yeah, basically one particular area of the table is subjected to very hot air. I guess that is why that particular area has a little crack. That is in fact the only damage that has happened to the table itself, even after this extended amount of use. As you can see, it is a small crack, it is not a huge issue. The crack itself has definitely deepened over time. I noticed it at approximately the 1 year mark to 1.5 year mark, and it has actually grown a little bit deeper after more use. It is actually a little bit scary, not very reassuring, just walking away, leaving my laptop on a table that has a crack at the side, and that is why I've actually gone ahead and bought a second one of these. Now, I'll talk about that particular unit later on, so let's just focus on the first one for now. As mentioned, the crack was the only bit of damage that has happened to the table, despite the extended use. However, there is another slight issue, and that is the fact that perhaps because the cutting of all the materials wasn't very perfectly done, there are some sharp edges left, and in fact, I have cut myself on them on several occasions, so that is one thing you have to look out for. Not just that though, because there are those sharp edges, and because, normally I would carry the whole table with, the cord just being there, I'll just grab the whole thing. What has happened is over time, I've actually rubbed the cord against a sharp part so much that it eventually frayed and broke. What you're seeing in this shot is basically the new cord from the new table I bought. It is of course the USB cord used to power the fans on the table itself. That is the only other bit of damage and the only other problem I've encountered using the table as a whole. In all honesty, that isn't too big of a deal. And even though I had a little bit of trouble finding a USB cable that is male on both ends, it was a minor inconvenience, and once I found the cable, I was able to basically continue using the table as always. However, as mentioned, I did buy a second one, And the reason for that is, well, the crack is there. As I mentioned, it doesn't really inspire confidence, especially when I was going to walk away from the whole setup. So I bought a second one. And unfortunately, things weren't quite as good as the first one. After using it for just several hours, I noticed that the table itself was at a bit of a strange tilt. Upon further inspection, I realized that this was in fact because one of the legs sort of popped up from the underneath of the table, and that was really strange until I actually unscrewed the whole thing and realized that the screw threads for one of the screws actually broke. As you can see, the threaded area is simply a little cylindrical shape, raised off the underside of the table. About a third of it has broken off, rendering it useless since of course, it wouldn't be able to hold a screw in place in its current state. In fact, the broken thread you've just seen is a different one to what I was originally referring to. While I was editing this video and wanted to shoot some footage of the underside of the table, this bit newly broke, meaning 2 out of the 4 legs of this table has given way at this point, and the table couldn't have been in use for more than 20 hours. I had already superglued the first leg back in place, and I was kinda hoping that would be the end of my troubles. As it turns out, there is more trouble, and more supergluing is going to be needed. That was really disappointing. Now, when I bought this second table, I bought it knowing that I've had a very good time with the first one. It basically offered rock solid performance for such an extended period of time, and I had faith in the brand. However, well, my experience with the second one was less than desirable. Everything about this table felt rougher. Like, the hinges weren't quite as smooth, and the sharp edges, which were already kinda bad with the first one, was even worse with the second one. And this even included certain parts where the cutting wasn't clean. And what that means is there are some extra plastics just stuck there that don't seem to be doing anything. So that is the trouble I actually experienced with the newer table. After I superglued the leg back, it, kinda works normally, even though I'm still a little bit scared of leaving my laptop on it and walking away. It does seem like it will probably hold. Now, why do I think I had such a different experience between, what is essentially 2 copies of the same product? Well, unfortunately, we can only guess, but I can offer several theories. The first of the 2 tables was actually bought in a store, whereas the second one was actually bought online and I had it delivered to my home. It is entirely possible for me to have ran into an unscrupulous dealer who sold me a broken product. It is possible that the product, got damaged in shipping. It is also possible that the quality of this product just in general has declined over the years for whatever reason. Unfortunately, I will not be able to tell you whether any of these theories are true, but hopefully this is a one-off thing and the rest of the products in the same line are hopefully still alright. So what is the moral of this story? Well, that your mileage may vary. And to be honest, it's a bit strange saying that because it kinda defeats the purpose of the glowing review I gave this product before. Unfortunately, it is kind of the truth. I have 2 copies of the same product. The first one I've used for 8,000 hours without experiencing anything beyond a minor inconvenience, while the second one broke within hours of use. So, well, that is the 2 extremes that you may have to expect out of this product. In the case of my second table, I could of course, just bang on tables and find some way to invoke some warranty. To be honest, I haven't looked into that because, well, it's a $20-something table, and I know they will make me jump through hoops if I want to get it changed. However, that is of course an option, and, assuming good faith, maybe if you've gotten a defective product like me, you might be able to invoke the warranty and get it changed. So to conclude this episode, well, I've had a good time with one of these and a bad time with another. That doesn't detract from the fact that it is a good product, and hopefully, well, you have a better time. As mentioned, this is still a product I would recommend, and hopefully the bad experience is a one-off one. You do have to expect things like rough edges, it's just not very perfect in that regard, and the plastic may not stand up to extended periods of heat, so these are things you have to look out for and, assess whether or not that would make the table less useful for you. Well, that's all there is for this particular episode. Hopefully I've given you a little bit more insight into what it's like to use this product in the long term. But yeah, that's all there is. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, you're watching 0612 TV. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, consider checking out the rest of my work on my channel. Alternatively, you may be interested in a playlist of my previous reviews. If you'd like to show me some monetary support, I am on Patreon. You can find a link to my campaign in the video description. Of course, you can simply like this video or leave a comment. I'll be sure to respond as soon as I can. To keep in touch with my future uploads, do subscribe to this channel. And for even more updates, check out the official Twitter account for this channel at 0612TV. Thank you for your support.